to have Jon to come along tonight on what is a very important topic. And without further ado, I'll get off stage. And please put your hands together for Jon Hughes. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. How are we?
Thank you.
Excellent. Good, good, good. Who didn't get a penny? But a couple of people came in a little bit later. Who hasn't got 1 pence for each? Gifts. Thank you very much. Excellent. So thank you for the introduction, Chris, and again thank you to the branch for inviting me back as a speaker. And we did have somebody else lined up to talk about Silica. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it, so due to the short story, you've got me. One of my roles at IOSH is as Vice President and also an ambassador for the No Time to Lose campaign. So this evening, I think for the first time actually at the Staffordshire branch, we're going to introduce No Time to Lose, particularly around its fourth strand, which is Silica awareness. So firstly, can I ask, who can tell me what Silica is and where would you find it?
It's a mineral that you find in rocks, quarry, glass, stone cutting, and it's a very fine material. When it gets to its fine state,
Yes.
when it causes a problem.
So when you get a pair of trainers, a pair of shoes, a little sachet with some silica gel in there, is that a problem?
No.
Not unless you eat it, not brilliant. Yeah, not so good for the digestive tract. But yeah, it shouldn't do any major harm unless you start consuming the stuff. But yeah, when it's in its finer form, it can certainly cause 1 or 2 problems, as we'll discover a little bit later. Does anybody here either work with silica or work with clients who work with silica? Yes, sir.
Boundaries used for casting metal parts.
Metal parts, yeah, okay, thank you. On the front row.
When I was working with contractors, silica was one of the big issues for us. Brick dust and cutting tiles, etc.
Yeah, okay, excellent. Right, we'll move on. We'll find out more about our campaign, IOSH No Time to Lose, and the risks of working with products containing silica. So in this presentation, I'll begin by providing information about IOSH, although as IOSH members at an IOSH branch, I'm sure you're well aware of who we are as an institution. We'll briefly cover our strategy, research on occupational cancer, and the aims of our No Time to Lose campaign. I'll then provide in-depth information on the silica phase, explain how you can get involved in No Time to Lose, the free resources available, and the impact of this award-winning campaign so far. So IOSH has a vision, a safe and healthy world of work. We know that realising this and moving towards it brings benefits to people and businesses, communities, societies, and economies. The current framework for achieving this vision is our Work 2022 strategy, which of course is well underway. Aside for IOSH, in my day job, I was in a 2-hour meeting this morning talking about our vision 2070. We're actually looking at what will industry look like 50 years from now. And by understanding or thinking what that may look like in 50 years, 2070, then what's that going to look like in 25 years, and then 10 years, and then 5 years, and what we're going to do next year to work towards that. 2020's got a great ring to it. If you haven't yet done so, then think about, as an IOSH professional, what your 2020 strategy looks like, your 2020 vision. There's a lot of good things you can do with that. So, with Work 2022, which is IOSH's current strategy, it's designed to align with changing work patterns and workplaces, structured around an approach where we collaborate to influence and enhance in ways that will achieve a safer, healthier world at work. To focus our work efficiently on key concerns within the broad span of safety, health and wellbeing, IOSH has 6 clear priorities, including occupational cancer. When we first launched No Time to Lose in 2014, previous figures then showed that occupational cancer claimed at least 666,000 lives. 2/3 of a million people. What a shocking figure. That's what it was when we first started doing the research. Now, with more accurate global research, the estimates are now that this year In 2020, 742,000 people will die somewhere on planet Earth of occupational cancer. What a global disgrace that is. That's more than one every single minute. It's actually been 6 minutes and 37 seconds since I stood here and said good evening to you. In that time, 7 people now, somewhere on planet Earth, have had their life support machine switched off and life declared over because of a cancer caused by their job. Just global, not just for one moment. The latest study, published in 2017, was carried out in 2015 by the ILO, the International Labour Organization, ministries in Finland and Singapore, the Workplace Safety and Health Institute, and the Finnish Institute of Occupational Health. The research found over half of all work-related deaths in the European Union were due to occupational cancer. Cancer caused by work is also the biggest killer in China, the Western Pacific, and in Latin America. Cancer caused by work, the biggest killer in China, the Western Pacific, and Latin America. What do we do to tackle this? It is a national, international, global emergency. As we all know, occupational cancers can be prevented. So we need to continue raising awareness worldwide and working together to tackle the causes. When planning our campaign, we use the most comprehensive data available. Where research wasn't available and didn't exist, IOSH commissioned it. For example, for our phase on solar radiation exposure work. No Time to Lose broke ground, never been done before, and has steadily become more global and more globally recognised. The Rushton report of 2012 was, for Britain, a breakthrough research study commissioned by our Health and Safety Executive. It was the only national study of this kind, but of course a number of other studies across the world on individual carcinogenic exposures, such as solar radiation or mineral oils. It took account of lifestyle choices, such as diet and smoking, to gain a true picture. And researchers found that work-related cancer is the 5th biggest cause of avoidable cancer in Britain. Just like lifestyle choices. So when we consider the risks around obesity and diet and smoking and so forth, those are all lifestyle affected. Biggest cause of cancer that's not affected by a lifestyle is this. It's your choice of occupation and the controls that your management put in place when you're at work. Almost 14,000 new cases of cancer caused by work are registered and diagnosed every year in Great Britain. 14,000 new cases. Of these, 4,000 are because of past exposure to asbestos. But 10,000 other cases are linked to exposures ranging from silica dust to topic of tonight's presentation to diesel engine exhaust emissions. Although this is not just about construction, there's no getting away from the fact that most of the sector's activities are implicated in these exposures to asbestos, silica, and of course diesel exhaust fumes with the plant and vehicles that we use readily in construction. The No Time to Lose campaign on occupational cancer aims to do several things. The main point of this campaign is to raise awareness. IOSH is a charity, and one of its charitable aims is to raise awareness to the wider society and public of occupational health and safety risks, and this is a key component of that campaign. Work-based carcinogens are largely under the radar, and we need to raise their profile if we want some more action to control them. Addressing fellow safety professionals is part of the challenge. How do we get that message out to students at the New Beacon Group? How do we get messages out to my children, they're 10 and 5? So when they move on into the workplace in another 20 years' time, what's that workplace going to look like? Are they still going to be exposed to the same cancers that you and I almost certainly have? At IOSH conference last year in September, Martin Temple, the chair of the HSE, addressed conference in his keynote speech and said that 80% of primary school children today, when they move into the world of work, are going to be doing a job that right now hasn't even been invented. 80% of primary school children, like my 2 kids, when they go into work, that job doesn't even exist. So who knows what untold risks and hazards there may be in time, and these are things that we need to be very, very aware of. Horizon Scanning being at the forefront of strategy and ideas of what the world of work may look like in the future. Responsible businesses are doing a lot of what So we're developing free resources to help them, of which we'll be explaining lots of those free resources tonight for you, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we're encouraging organisations like yours and mine to make commitments to prevent carcinogenic exposures at work. And this is improving policy and practice. Whether you're an employer or employee, training provider like Phoenix, an industry body or policy maker, safety and health professional or occupational hygienist, we all have a key part to play, every one of us. If we want to call time on work-caused cancers, we can beat this if we work together and help control the exposure risks. So, No Time to Lose currently has the backing of 367 support organisations from 40 countries across the globe. If you'd like to become the 368th and beyond, please do come and speak to me. We'd be delighted to have that conversation. Many have used No Time to Lose to reach workers across their supply chains in ways they have never been able to do before. If you heard me last year talk about ISO 45001 and CDM compliance, your engagement with the supply chain is absolutely crucial. This is a very free way of being able to do much of that. The map behind me highlights in yellow the countries of those organisations that are supporting our campaign. The sun doesn't set on No Time to Lose, it is global. So far we've launched 4 phases of No Time to Lose campaign. These are diesel engine exhaust emissions, solar radiation, asbestos, and tonight's topic, silica dust. So I'm now going to give you an overview of cancer caused by silica dust exposure at work. It's estimated 47,000 people die every year from lung cancer caused by exposure to silica dust at work. This is an estimate provided by Dr. Silica from the International Commission on Occupational Health in 2017. Breathing in silica dust can also cause silicosis, another serious lung disease. Globally, silicosis claimed the lives of more than 46,000 people in 2013. We've got any Villa fans in the room? You want to drink tea? 1 or 2? That's Villa Park, completely sold out. Any Wolves fans? West Brom fans? That's beside the room, so that's good. That's going to fill your stadium, plus find another 10,000 seats on the pitch, just to look at the number of people who are dying from silica every year. We need to tackle this. Worldwide, it's estimated that millions of employees are exposed to silica dust at work right now. And here are some examples. 500,000 people in the UK exposed to dangerously high levels of silica. 5 million people in the EU. 2.2 million people in America. 10 million people in India. 23 million people in China exposed now to dangerously high levels of silica. It's estimated that 800 people a year die from lung cancer caused by silica exposure at work in Britain every single year. That's 15 people this week. By the time you took into your fish and chips or whatever you have as your meal tomorrow night, on average, 15 people this working week will have died from past exposure to silica. There are thought to be around 900 new cases of lung cancer every year diagnosed in Great Britain, attributed to past exposure. This isn't harsh talking, this is the Health and Safety Executive. These are very real figures. So, IOSH commissioned a survey, a construction dust industry survey, in 2012, and that provided an overview of the way the construction industry views and engages and manages dust in general, and not just silica dust. It also looks at wood dust and various different workplace dusts. The survey was sent to IOSH construction group members, and in total, 618 people responded. Many of the survey findings paint a fairly bleak picture. In general, the survey revealed a lack of priority given to dust control by companies. It's not the main concern. We need to make sure we've got edge protection so people don't fall to their death, because that's the biggest cause of workplace deaths, surely. We need to make sure we've got fire provision in place and appropriate welfare facility. Absolutely, these are all really key things. Please don't lose sight of one of the biggest causes of occupational death every year in Britain. Dust, stuff you breathe in. The survey found a poor awareness of the risks among workers, little attempt to design out dust risks, a poor understanding of use of on-tool extraction, An over-reliance on respiratory protective equipment as the main form of control. So FP3 mask on, so everything else is fine. That comes last. Design it out so you don't have to make the cut in the first place. If you've got a concourse outside of premises and you've got slabs that come up together, and you put the slabs in place, and then you cut the perfect line straight through all those slabs to put a drainage channel through, health and safety is failed. That is not safety by design. The CDM regs of 2015 and dating back in versions before its state, the client needs to consider the risk, designer, but ultimately the client takes ultimate accountability, needs to consider the risk to those who are building the thing, maintaining it, servicing it, using it for its intended purpose. So right at the outset, design it in such a way that you slap up to that channel, leave the space. That's saving money, that saves time, that reduces cost, and it also reduces the need to get dirty tools out and create a load of dust and noise that you wouldn't otherwise have to do. Simple thoughts during the design phase can often get rid of many, many hazards later on down the line. A lack of awareness about face fit testing. So we give people FP3 dust masks, they're great. But then, like if they haven't shaved today, then that may be seen more problematic in terms of its ability to control the dust they've been exposed to. Inadequate management arrangements to control dust, poor worker compliance with the arrangements that are in place, and a lack of worker consultation. So ensure what was actually going on, that's not a lot. With 618 respondents, it's not a particularly positive picture being painted. It's not entirely negative, as there are also generally found to be an improving picture of control through the use of water suppression. That's good. Better compliance among those who are more informed about the risks and controls needed. But awareness is absolutely a key starting point. IOSH formed the virtual focus group, which operated during November and December of 2015. It sought to capture the views on silica dust exposure of a small selection of professionals working in the construction, rail, like our colleagues over there, public services, and mineral product sectors. The top 5 barriers to effective silica exposure control cited by the focus groups were a lack of understanding or awareness of the significance of silica dust as a hazard. Well, dust is dust. Not quite. Resistance from employees to use controls. Ineffective implementation of control measures in practice, despite the existence of safe systems of work and equipment. It wasn't prioritised as a significant hazard by employers, and a lack of training in using controls effectively. So what is silica dust? As we identified earlier on this evening, it's a natural substance found in varying amounts in most rocks, sand and clay. For example, sandstone contains more than 70% silica, whereas granite may contain 15 to 30%. Silica is also a major constituent of construction materials such as bricks, tiles, concrete and mortar. Silica dust is created when silica is broken down. This very, very fine dust, known as respirable crystalline silica, or RCS for short, for obvious reasons, is released into the air when people carry out tasks such as cutting, drilling or grinding. The small silica dust particles float in the air for longer than large dust particles. Bigger bits fall to the ground, the small bits remain airborne, so there's much more chance to be able to breathe those things in. When you smoke, breathe out the smoke, or you smash something or cut something, the dust is released. At a rough ballpark, the stuff you can see doesn't actually do much harm. It's the invisible cloud of particulates left behind after the bigger stuff has hit the floor that is the thing we need to be concerned about. The tasks above are performed at various levels within and across industry. RCS dust is given off when many types of stone are worked on, and this may happen during all such activities. Cutting is probably the most common activity, for example large blocks or slabs of stone, cut into usable pieces as part of quarrying activities or at a stone worker's yard, or even dealer's site. Bricks, pavements, curbstones, etc. as part of construction work. Some of the above activities are most common. Stone working, where stone is shaped, carved, textured, smoothed, etc. to the desired finish. This can be done with handheld manual or mechanical tools, or in some cases using computerised machines, for example edging and smoothing with kitchen granite worktops, making sink cutouts and tap holes, and preparation of consistent sized blocks of stone. Use of handheld mechanical power tools like cut-off saws, pneumatic chisels, electric grinders, power sanders, stone saws, etc. is very common. And these tools rapidly give rise to extremely high levels of this very fine RCS dust. Maintenance of local exhaust ventilation and machines, including changing filters and emptying dust collectors by their very nature, will give rise to high intermittent exposure. So particular care needs to be taken of those people who are using suppression and then sort out that suppression sugar in the bin. You know, often they've thought of all the protection and actually doing the cut, but then to go and empty the machine out, they may not necessarily have thought about the risk that that's where all the hazard actually lies. Similarly, cleaning workshops and yards give rise to high levels of dust, especially where dry sweeping takes place. Now, according to the HSC, the amount of dust needed to cause the damage we discussed earlier, such as lung cancer or silicosis, is really not very large at all. Now, you've all been given a shiny 1 penny piece. Could you take that out of your pocket or wherever you put it, please? Just take a look at it. In relation to that 1 penny piece, according to the HSC, what do you think are considered to be a maximum safe level of exposure in a day? Do you think it's a piece of silica dust as big as that penny? As big as 10 of these? As big as a whole pile of these? Or do you think indeed it's smaller?
Smaller.
So just imagine a pile of dust the size of a 1 penny piece disc on the floor. Look at HSC's figures. Turn your penny piece over off the back. Read where it says 1 penny. And have a focus on the capital O. That is what the HSC considers to be the safe amount or the maximum amount of exposure of RCS in a day. A single little line on the 1 penny on the back of your 1 penny piece. Question? Yeah.
Is that the law? Is that how you put it?
Yes. It's the maximum amount over the course of a day. It's not a lot.
Eight.
My view would be no amount is a good amount, but that is what the HSC suggests. The size of the O on the 1 penny is tiny, tiny amounts. So keep that 1 penny. Think about that next time you create a load of dust, or in any environment where dust may be prevalent, or if you can deliver a training course on silica awareness. That is not a huge amount of dust. The video I'm about to put on is from WorkSafe BC, that's over in Canada. This visually illustrates how the lungs are damaged by silica dust.
Silica. It's one of the most common substances on Earth. It can be found in materials like sand and rock, and building products like concrete and brick. When a worker cuts, grinds, or drills materials that contain silica, dangerous crystalline silica dust is released into the air. As the worker breathes, silica crystals flow into his mouth and nose and down the air passages deep into the lungs. The tiny crystals enter the small, fragile air sacs where oxygen is absorbed into the blood. Immune system cells, called macrophages, engulf and try to dissolve the crystals, but they are unable to. Over time, more and more crystals build up inside the macrophage cells. The macrophages carry the silica into the walls of the lung, where they die. Scar tissue forms around the dead cells and spreads as more cells die. This damage can continue even after the exposure to silica stops. Eventually, so much scar tissue forms that the lungs can no longer function. For information on how to protect yourself from silica exposure, visit worksafebc.com.
Right. You got some volunteers, please. There's a couple of prerequisites visits, there's a little activity I'm going to ask you to do. You're going to do the straw walk. Have you done a straw walk before? If you are fit and healthy, if you're happy to do this, it'll take you about a minute. And if you haven't got any asthma or underlying chest complaints, then please do come to the front. And this little exercise will give you a brief flavour as to what it's like to have COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or other similar conditions like that. What I'm asking you to do is come to the front if you want to, and if you haven't got a chest complaint. You're going to stand over on this wall here. You're going to walk across the floor, through that door, behind the stage, back through this door, up that flight of stairs, across the back, down this flight of stairs, holding a straw that I'm going to give you. And you're going to line up in a big line up front, put that in your mouth and breathe. See what happens. Any volunteers? How's that feel?
It's a bit more challenging.
A bit more challenging.
Yeah.
Trouble with like inshores, they get more challenging.
You don't feel you're getting a full lungs capacity with it in the breathing, and it feels a very shallow breath.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Does that give you a rough flavour of what it might be like having something like COPD or some other lung disease? Challenge is you can take a straw and you can recycle that or reheat it, do what you want. When you've got long-term COPD, there's no option to remove that straw. And that's a fairly gentle walk around a room such as this and back in here. Imagine things like running for a bus, or spending time with children or grandchildren in a ball around town, or suddenly outside without the right jacket and the rain suddenly opens up the air real pain. Things that all of a sudden exert can have a very severe effect. And it doesn't improve. It's a gradual decline. Great folks, thank you very much. Let's have a seats. So, a little case study here for you folks. These photos were taken by the woman featured in those images. In working conditions he was enduring on a daily basis. A stoneworker with office high expectations and now has accelerated silicosis. HSE turned up on site. They prosecuted and the fines and costs were around £132,000 plus compensation payments to the worker. The short film about to play features Terry, who was a stoneworker and was diagnosed with silicosis. This documents the effect that silicosis had on Tony and his family.
What the young people are invincible. They're Johnny Concretes, they're unbelievably strong and all that, but eventually concrete erodes and so does your body. If you don't look after it, it'll come back. You must protect yourself and be aware of the regulations. You're protecting your own life and other people around you. People say, well, you know, you look healthy. Don't judge the book by its cover. They said that dust isn't good for you, but they never ever said about the respiratory silica crystal. That's apparently that's the devil among all this. But nobody ever told me. I was never instructed about respiratory silica crystal. As I said to you, an old fellow said to me, what you breathe in, some of it stays in. What I thought was, I'm getting older, so obviously you're not as fit as what you think you are, and it's just wear and tear on your body. Well, you know, I'm getting older, so I got to my shopping and I'm going up a hill. I never realised that my lungs had been damaged, and it was now starting to take effect on my general health. I was crestfallen when I got the information. I presumed I was fit and always looked after myself. And then I'm given with this bombshell of, as I believed, a terminal lung disease. It was the pressure of work more than anything else. We were supplying an awful lot of men with an awful lot of material, but there was only 3 of us, so it was intense, very intense. It was a smaller area that we worked in. The condensity of the amount of work we were doing and the small facility that we worked in, it was just a 3-tier cake of disaster, if you ask me. Where does that leave me? What's going to happen to my wife and family? You know, what can I do to minimise the effect of what's happening to me?
In our fact sheets, you can find advice on how to control silica dust exposure in the workplace. This slide shows the key steps. Number 1, design out the risks. I briefly mentioned earlier in relation to a concourse outside, the open drainage channel. Consider activities that will involve working on materials that contain silica at the design stage or start a new project. For example, if a new building is being designed, make sure it includes pre-built recesses for plumbing, gas and electric wiring, so there's less need to cut or drill masonry and concrete during the construction phase. Remove or substitute materials containing crystalline silica from the work process. It may be possible to use a different material, for example, olefin. Monitor or assess exposure and identify the jobs and tasks that need better controls. Use engineering controls like enclosures or hoods and local exhaust ventilation to extract the contaminated air at the point it's being produced, or use water suppression on fixed machinery. Operatives should use personal respiratory protection in all situations where air sampling data shows that there is an unacceptable level of dust, even after attempts to control airborne silica dust using engineering solutions. Instruct and train affected employees on how to use the control measures in place to protect them. Give workers information about possible risks and how exposure can be cut down. Our free pocket card provides a good overview. We can introduce health surveillance. It's legally required here in Great Britain, where there is a reasonable chance that workers may develop silicosis. Again, all these resources are free. Next video, I'm just going to turn the sound down on that because I'm sure you know what still sounds like. You have to listen to that for the next 20 seconds. Shows a curbstone being cut without a control measure. Yes, a bit fine. So that's no control measure. Like the worker himself is clearly protected and it's filming this. On the right hand side you can see, because it's got monitoring stations all around his body, how much dust is actually being recorded there. Not good. By far not the clouds of dust compared to the letter O on a 1 penny piece. Completely blown out of the water. The next one, same curbstone being cut, this time with appropriate controls in place. Look on the right hand side as to how much the body monitoring kit is picking up silica. Simple water suppression attachment onto his cutting tool. There's still a little bit being released. It's not perfect, but nothing that his body recorded equipment has picked up in his breathing zone. That is a safe task. It's not difficult. This equipment's been around for a long time. You need to get it out there and get awareness that you're using it effectively and properly. Okay. Benefits of control. Well, health benefits not realised for many years due to long latency diseases. Some can take 20 to 30 years to develop. Some shorter-term benefits include, from the employer, if dust is controlled at source, then tools stay cleaner and will work more efficiently. This can have a knock-on effect of tools maintaining a quicker application speed, enabling tasks and therefore overall jobs to be completed more quickly as not being clogged up with bits of dust. It also enables workers to carry out more productive work rather than cleaning up, which delays tasks that follow cutting and repairing. Clients will be happier if projects are completed on or ahead of time, and their workplaces and premises will look better, be clean and be tidy. For the worker, pretty obvious, it's healthier and safer work environment who not all that. They feel valued that their employer is taking their health and safety seriously, and of course they have a healthier life and a longer life. There There really is no time to lose on occupational cancer, as we mentioned earlier on, 742,000 unnecessary, completely avoidable deaths every single year through workplace cancer. So that's the focus on Silica. Let's have a little look now at the overall campaign, what you can do to help support, and what the campaign can do to support you. Let's see what we can do to all get involved. We work to supporting businesses across the UK and beyond to develop free, practical resources to help manage carcinogens in their workplace. On the campaign website, notimetolose.org, everyone can download free materials to help manage diesel fumes, solar radiation, silica dust and asbestos at work. You'll find everything there from fact sheets, posters, leaflets, to the films that we've seen this evening, presentations, infographics and case studies, pretty much anything you could possibly want. Organisations can support the campaign by providing a few sentences to reflect their commitments to taking action to prevent occupational cancers. All of our supporters have offered to raise awareness via their communication channels on LinkedIn and Twitter and websites. We also provide supportive resources to help communicate campaign messages. So why not pledge to take action? A central part of what we have done involves urging businesses like yours to pledge to take action. The pledge is a 6-point action plan which involves businesses in the public or private sector committing to 1. Assessing the risk, 2. Developing and delivering a prevention strategy for your own team and your contractors, 3. Briefing managers and leaders, 4. Engaging the workforce and their employees, 5. Demanding the same standards as their supply chain, and 6. Reporting on progress made so we can see how this campaign is working. Some pretty recognisable brands on the screen behind me, and they just represent a small sample of 130 leading businesses around the world that have signed up to this campaign pledge. They've been recognised their significant commitment to tackling carcinogens at work on our campaign website, in communications, and with a no time to lose certificate. Now, when you're tendering for work and you are along with many other companies that put in a bid, that is not going to lose your points, is it? That's a good thing to do. If you can mention more and more things that give you a USP, a unique selling point, when you are selling your prospective services into prospective clients, that's a great thing to have. When you have somebody like BSI or others coming in to complete a 45,000 audit, and they ask, what are you doing to improve and continuously improve health and safety? What are you doing to communicate with your employees? How are you engaging your leadership through to your workforce? How are you engaging with your supply chain to make sure your supply chain are acting as healthily and safely as you are? There's your very main answer. There's a number of your clauses of 45,001. Tick in the box. Best of it is, completely free. Won't cost you that penny I gave you. So, we've developed together with our pledged businesses a series of case studies. Use them to share good practice on how they're managing carcinogenic exposures at work. On the No Time to Lose website, there's 2 tiers of information. Tier 1, anybody anywhere on planet Earth can access it and download that content and use it to their heart's content. But that's a relatively small sample. The second phase is once you are one of the 132 signatories or one of the pledged companies, you've got the limitless content on there, which is you like. But certainly the free stuff that's available for anybody is some really useful information. These case studies show safety and health strategies and tactics and control measures that others can emulate. They're a powerful knowledge sharing resource. Great when you've got your next campaign week coming up, or next time you're scratching your head thinking, what should I do to talk about in the toolbox talk? Or what should we do next time we've got our contractor engagement day? There it is, it's free, use it. We've worked in partnership with our supporters around the world to help raise awareness of occupational cancer by co-branding and translating these free resources. If you're a global business and you want your content translated into Latin American Spanish, absolutely fine. We'll work with you to get that done. Once we've done it with one organisation, that's then obviously ready available for anyone else who wants it in Latin American Spanish, or Mandarin, or Urdu, or any one of the other many languages that have now been translated into. In just the last 4 months, just last summer, we've launched this campaign in Australia, Malaysia and Canada through partner professional networks in those countries. The campaign was also launched in previous years with materials localised in collaboration with local organisations like IOSH in Bulgaria, Slovenia, Cyprus, and many more around Europe. This month, we are launching the campaign of the IOSH West Africa Conference in Nigeria. We've also been working with our global network of 42 branches, like the Staffordshire branch, and 18 industry sector groups to raise awareness of occupational cancer by disseminating materials, presenting and exhibiting the campaign. As a No Time to Lose ambassador, or as IOSH Vice-President, or both, if you've got a workplace or you've got another event that you'd like a presentation delivered to, please do come and drop me a line. We've got a team of ambassadors, as Chris mentioned, 6 members of the presidential team who will gladly travel wherever is required to come and deliver this for you, completely free. It's not a problem. Please, just ask. The campaign has been presented at over 250 events worldwide in the last 12 months in countries from India and Ireland, right across to Singapore and South Africa. A true global campaign. Our campaign marked its 5th anniversary just before Christmas, and up on screen are some highlights of the reach and impacts of our work so far, including some of the awards that we've won. We encourage any creative ways you've got to use, promote and reach more people through the No Time to Lose campaign. It's touched millions of people. We love that and millions more. It really illustrates the power of partnerships that No Time to Lose has captured the imagination of so many, and it's so easy to use and adapt for your particular business. To keep up to date with the latest news, please follow the campaign on Twitter. To find out more about No Time to Lose, silica, solar radiation, diesel exhaust fumes and asbestos, then please do visit the website notimetolose.org.uk. Thank you for your time. Has anybody got any questions on No Time to Lose or silica?
I think the
food box. Yeah.
one of the things is
Sorry.
Just a second. When the food box comes over to you, if you can just put it into the box, that'd be great.
Onto PC, John. Just put it onto PC.
When it works, it's good.
Sorry, laptop.
Great. So you just hold up to your mouth and you're talking to it, that'd be great. Thank you.
okay. I think a lot of things is about education of the workforce. We spend a lot of time on this campaign, occupational health, well-being, a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of buy-in from our directors and partners of the company. The education when it comes to the workforce, it's a very difficult thing. You sit and talk and bring people in, but it's because it's a long term, it's not immediate, that the workforce struggle with. It's that understanding, you know, if you've got a bit of cut-offs off, you'll wear steel toe caps, you'll wear gloves, they might wear eye protection, because they realise there's an instant impact if a bit of strap comes off, that stone comes off, that's in the eye, they know that's going to affect them immediately. We do face fit testing, we provide them with the proper equipment, and the amount of time you see people with an RP lying inside them, because they don't see that impact, they don't see it happen to them 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line. And I think it is a continuous, constant education. It's not a battle. I don't use it as a battle. There's no point in standing there, shouting at Kerr there, shouting at Vicky. I deal with directors of companies, owners of companies that choose not to wear RP. They've been doing it all 20 years, it's not affected me yet. And it's that education getting through, you know. I say it, one of the things I say to them, it's got the same effect as cutting asbestos. It's got the same potential to your lungs. If I ask you to go cut a sheet of asbestos, you tell me to do one, you tell me you're not doing it, but you're cutting that care or slab or whatever it is without RPE. You say the same on the roadside of things. It's just that constant education. It's a long-term thing, it's not an instant. It's doing it in a couple of minutes. You know, these brickies, the care players and doing it for. And you look at the mates as well. You get the young ones coming into the industry, and you look at their peers, don't you? You look at the guys who do it for 30 years and eat them confidence, so it doesn't make any difference. And it is a long-term, slow education process. I think you just got to keep on constantly educating people.
You're right, it is. That education piece goes right across the whole industry, so obviously if you can get new recruits coming into the industry, the younger people, the younger generation, and encourage them right from the outset, hopefully to not adapt those poor behaviours to start with, and that's positive. But yeah, carry on doing what you're doing. No Time to Lose. There are a range of different free presentations on there, aimed at various different sectors. You can download those for free. Paperless slides you can use for your next toolbox talk, the awareness posters. There's a number of different useful resources you may find on there just to keep that regular drip of information. And
so we do the health monitor and health surveillance as well annually with the workforce and the supply chain. We offer it free in the supply chain, subcontractors, and that's got the message through to quite a few of them, and they actually realise that the long capacity and the potential issues they've got.
Yeah. Does anybody have any ideas on communication campaigns that you've found works to get that message across? Julie, have you got a question or a comment?
Yeah, questions.
Yeah. Before we just come to that, Julie, does anybody got any thoughts on ideas we can help our colleague or get that message across? Things we've seen work well?
You can always demonstrate. So have them working, have a suction pump pulling something through.
Yeah.
Have a suction pump pulling something through while they're working during the day onto a black filter. Show them the black filter and then show them what it's like with a filter in front of that filter. Yeah. So that you take it out and you've got demonstrable proof of what they've actually breathed in if they weren't wearing a mask. So it's putting things into the way that they'll understand it, they can see it then. A lot of people switch off when you just talk to them, unfortunately. But when you can actually, you've got something to demonstrate, it helps.
Are you talking more construction side?
Yeah, construction, yeah. It's not production.
So one thing is, it's sort of thing like, something like hard hitting, like a motor showed, severe lung disease, showed to the side. Something like that.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of it's quite right to say that it's not talking to people. You know, we spend a lot of time communicating with people, right? You know, trying to involve them and understand why. And you know, we've done the posters, we've done videos, we've had people in there that have had access. We do an annual supply chain day down in Milton Keynes. We've just do 45,000 one last week, and we've got that. So you know, we've got a lot of systems and procedures in place. I just see it as it's because it's not an immediate thing that starts drip. You've got to constantly be reminding people.
We've done a very similar thing with HABs and noise, and what we did was we got a load of gloves, sewn the thumbs up, and said to them, right, do your shirt up.
Yeah.
It's about sort of like you're doing, it's trying to educate and sort of try and hard hit. You know, there's loads you can sort of all, and it sounds like you're doing tons of it really, but it's actually just hitting it hard and just keep hitting it.
I think if you can get somebody who's unfortunately got a problem, it's powerful, because I think people need to see what the long-term impact is on family, you know, work life and things like that, because it is a very invisible thing in many ways. You can't see it, but if you can get somebody to do a testimony, that's quite hard-hitting as well.
We've got that as well. One of our safety managers got a COPD. Yeah. So he's the best, you know, he's an example there. He used to work with bricks and curbs and the like, so he's actually got COPD and he struggles to, so they can see that.
That's right. I think it's having that impact. So, a good friend of the branch, Jason Acker, he was here 6 months ago, last time I saw Jason. Very visible when he comes in his wheelchair and describes the accident that happened to him. Double incontinence, lost his legs, was spinal fracture and fall from height. It's very immediate and very obvious. Terry, who we saw in the video earlier on, is terminally ill. That video was filmed in 2017. As I say, I'm not entirely sure that Terry's still with us. But he looks fit and well. He can stand up, he can walk around, he seems perfectly fine if you were to look at him and talk to him. But you can't see the damage that's doing himself. And I think the hard-hitting visual grotesque campaigns, I think, have run their course. You've gone on the days when when power tools bite back and you've got someone who's screaming off and arm gets ripped off and something awful. But people generally just switch off the blood and gore, and they're not, it's okay, it's a video, it's a bit hard, a bit far-fetched. Whereas be more factual, things like the Canadian video we saw there, it illustrates the impact of the fibres, in this case the crystal, getting rid of. Make it more reality behind it, rather than scare people. So this is the facts, this is what may happen. There's a video that illustrates it nicely. Rather than, for example, packets of cigarettes, we've got some fairly grotesque pictures and people still buying the cigarettes and still smoking them.
John, it probably needs to be brought to the attention of people before they even start work.
That's right, it's the younger generation.
And the younger generation that's going to use DIY tools,
Yeah.
and cut some slabs and lay slab themselves. So it's probably like school or college type thing. When they get to it, it's like stopping people smoking, sort of, like you say, stop them at that age. That training and that education should be in schools doing this. Not wait till that finish school to start work on building sites.
For the people who work already, I think you've got to start asking them what do they imagine their life to be in 20 years' time? Where will they be? What sort of activities do they want to be doing? And actually, not wearing that on you is what will change that future for them and get them to write their own story almost in a session of what actually is at risk.
It is also though, isn't it, that you can have the hard-hitting campaign, but it's imperative that managers and supervisors get out there and monitor and ensure that what should be happening is happening, and having discussions with people and using that as a coaching opportunity as well. So it's a long-term education process. It's got to be ongoing. It can't be just an impact and then walk away. You've got to carry on drilling it into people through those conversations.
It's a good point you raised, John, as well, about the making it more kind of relatable for people as well. I remember a couple of years ago at the expo, someone was talking about how do you actually engage with people on these types of issues, and making it more relatable. Think about if you, in 20 years' time, do you want to play with your kids and do that run around the block, or do you want to go for a walk across that hill and go and enjoy that pub lunch over that hill? And maybe some of those sort of things. I like what you were saying about doing that comparison to if I asked you to cut into an asbestos tile, you wouldn't do that. Some of those things as well, I think, are quite interesting.
It's got to be their choice. We don't waste. We as an organisation, we're not there to police the workforce, because you can go out. Somebody's not wearing about RPE. The old way of doing it is a safety professional, safety advisor. You get a ball, you get a yellow card, a red card, and they go. That's not educating them. It's not working with them. So we spend a lot of time, going through a just culture process where we sit and what made you make that decision. Sit there with the supervisor, who put them to work, why are they doing that? What made you make that decision? And we try to just get them to think for themselves and make a conscious decision for themselves that they want to use that bit of protective PPE, or they want to use that bit of edge protection, or they want to wear the harness, whatever it happens to be. It's that bit that it's not me as a safety manager. The reason they're doing it because they want to do it, they understand. So that's the education part of it. You've got to take them away, because you can, you stand there with a ground worker, a cable layer, a machine operator, and it's the alpha male with their audience, and it's just a big shout match. Those days are gone. Now you take them back, have a sit down, educate them, speak them, sort of let them read this chart, and we let them go through the chart to understand what the consequences are of what they've done. Sit there for 20 minutes, generally the light goes on and they understand why, because you get that opportunity to sit there and discuss with them, do you want to go home with the family? Have you got kids to go? And it's just that bit of humanity, that bit of face-to-face contact and education, and hopefully when they go away they'll think that safety guy wasn't so bad after all. He is, or that safety person, wasn't so bad after all, and they'll think, well, the next time they might make that choice to wear that bit of PPE. I think that's, as a profession, I see that's the way we should be, rather than the old policing way. People say, oh, there's a safety person coming with a clipboard. Those days are really gone.
What about bringing somebody in from the outside? Sometimes, organisations do that because they see somebody coming in as somebody different, isn't it? They're likely to stand up and take a bit more notice.
We've got 3 occupational health nurses at visit site, the 2 consultants who are paid for by the company, so they're external consultants that visit all our sites on a regular basis. We've got champion sites, as well as a big focus. Well, once a month, the occupational health person will come and have a chat with them about lifestyle. You know, it's not just about work, it's how the work affects you at home and how the home affects you at work. And they start getting the bigger picture, and that's where we try to get through to them. What you're doing at work affects you when you're at home as well. You know, it's not, and it's you know, we spend a lot of time as an organisation educating the workforce. And it's just frustrating when you get that, you know, the ones that go, oh, well, so that I'm not interested in what's happened 20 years down the line. We've got 83 apprentices, you know, we're talking about college and apprentices in schools. We've got 83 apprentices that we're putting through like civil engineering building training, and hopefully at the end of it, you know, they'll be out there educating the next level, the next group's coming through. So,
one more comment, then we've got a question from Julie. So,
yeah, I work for Unitas, consultant, housing maintenance, and recently we've had like a DOS working group, and I've been chairing that group. Now, we could talk to them and tell them all about DOS. We'll do that by a toolbox talk. But what we found most effective is actually by taking an air cleaner, different types of air cleaners, and actually the supervisor taking it and actually going out and trialling the use of them. Now, we've done demolition where we've knocked out walls. With the big industrial one, we've got 3 different types, and it's become more effective, so much so that the actual contractors are taking that back to their employers to say, we want to use this on our sites. But also our own employees have turned around and said, we feel that it's that clean, saves time on sweeping up, they don't have to do any of that, saves time on complaints, and they're the ones now that are actually phoning up and saying, I'm doing this type of task, I want the air cleaner. It's been more effective doing it that way than just talking to them.
Great, thank you. Julie, Dr. Rick, any question?
Thank you. Very good presentation.
This is your speciality, isn't it? Not dust in the workplace?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, and I think the presentation was very well placed as well. And it is a challenge around perception, and we can see that really in the government trying to get non-smoking, and we all understand that. So it definitely is a challenge. I was interested about the survey and whether it's identified any sort of challenging populations or demographics, so whether it's older or younger people or larger or smaller companies that really struggle with that transition and understanding the risks around Silica.
Yeah, I've used driven into specifics of that survey and sort of feed that back offline, and certainly across the 612 respondents, we would broadly find quite a general consensus of a lack of understanding. Now, in all surveys of similar type for the different topics, you tend to find there's a great awareness where you've got a FTSE 100 company or a major contractor who's got all the maturity and all the resources available, whereas an SME or a sole trader invariably has much less awareness and less resources to be able to put these things in place. But yes, I would imagine over 618 a large majority is going to start to move to the less mature end of the market.
It's really interesting about the younger generation being much more aware, socially aware, environmentally aware, so whether that's an easier message to get across, I don't know, but it may be interesting to see that through generations as well, the changing the pitch of how we're getting people integrated at a level as well.
Yes. Do you think there's any mileage in actually reframing the conversations around a specialist awareness course and a Silica awareness course? Do we not just say dust and cat, no matter what it is, whether wood cousin through or plastic or a lump of asbestos or a curtain stone, just don't breathe any of it. It's all nasty stuff. Yeah, it's dust awareness. Thank you.
Well, we get involved a lot because refurb works in car parks. We have no shortage have to remove HB2 curves and redundant channels. So we're using still sorts of lot of water suppression. So I was concerned being especially on topic silicosis. So when we used to get little lads in, gentlemen this way, right, if they don't see an immediate effect or they don't realise what the effect is, it has no impact. You can talk to them for a bit forever and a day. So what we did was when we did the face fit, we picked the mask with bivalve. So we all got fitted, and we barely agreed with the chaps and the instructor. And said, if you want to find out what it's like and give you an immediate effect, we'll just do this. We cap off one of the bivalves. So then we reduce the amount of air they can bring by 50%. And they're actually doing like gagging for breath in a few moments. And they go, that's why you wear your mask. And to be fair, I know it sounds wonderful, but it's worked. Whenever you go to site, we wear masks. And they're using the water suppression and the masks. And that seems, that simple experiment seems to have, it's just worth an ask all the time. And as I also said, I've been the last 12 months when I've been to Sorrows, I've got one person not wearing his mask. So I know it's rough and ready, but that seems to have got the mark.
No, thank you for that. Scott, thank you. Any other comments? Yeah, extra comments over here.
Yeah, to be honest, I've sort of walked past this No Time to Lose campaign because it talks about 4 areas that don't really come into my work, but now I've listened to the presentation, can't see which of them. What I'm particularly worried about is welding fumes, because there's just been an update to the legislation which I'm not totally familiar with, but the company I work at basically does fabrication, that's what we do. Especially with health and safety, just announced in the next 3 months they're going to be doing spot checks on all companies that do well with fabrication. That's a bit of information that people might be interested in. But there's a lot of resources there that you've said for silica, asbestos and things like that. What about things like welding fumes and that? Does this campaign help with that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you for raising that. The campaign is still open, so our research committee will still look at additional topics to add to that, or maybe focus on wellbeing particularly. I can certainly raise that back to my colleagues back at IOSH and ask that question. Thank you.
Could I just add something to the welding comments? In November, the HSE released WL guidance, which is specifically about the controls you should have for welding because of this carcinogen status. So it's really, really worth looking at because it's talking about minimal requirements for RPA, minimal requirements for MEV, health surveillance requirements, and also training requirements. Now, I do understand that the HSE from the beginning of this year will be going out and doing spot checks on businesses. They want you to review the cost assessments, they want you to have understood that carcinogen status and reflect that in all of your cost controls. So it's really worth looking at. And the stuff's free, it's there on me.
Great, thank you.
I was just going to say that, to follow on from that, if you go on the HSE website, there's something called SHIFT, which is Safety, Health in Boundaries. They've done quite a lot of work and information on that part of the work about welding fumes and sort of controls and things like that. So well worth a look if you've got that part of your risk profile.
Yeah, thank you.